Hi everybody, welcome to Yarn Scrap Friday, and in this video, it's not really a Yarn Scrap Friday, it's more of a Yarn Friday review Friday today. In this video, I am going to be showing you how to make this super chunky, super gorgeous beanie. And it's actually going to be a review because we're going to be reviewing some of this gorgeous yarn from Wool and the Gang, and this is very rare that I do a review because I'm really fussy with my reviews. So I only review the stuff that I like because I could never say anything horrible about something I don't like. So I never review the things I don't like. So today I am delighted and very lucky enough to be reviewing Wool and the Gang's crazy sexy wool. And we're going to find out if it is crazy, if it is sexy, but it is definitely wool. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is unbox my yarn, and I have to say I've never unboxed yarn before. It's always turned up in a bag, so the first thing I noticed is turned up in a box, and I love this huge bold writing on the side, get your knit on. Although I won't be getting my knit on, I shall be getting our crochet on, so but it's got their web address on the side as well, so if you want to check out their yarns or their patterns as well, you can go to woolandthegang.com. But I thought I'd save the unboxing to do on camera. I never do unboxings on camera, so let's see. I haven't seen this at all, so this is going to be just as much a surprise for you as it is for me. So I'm going to put the camera down and open this up. Okay, so it's going to be a bit of a waffling video, this one as well, rather than just straight to the pattern. And figure out how to open this. Okay, losing my hook. Okay, so let's turn this the right way around. Oh, here we go. Oh, so it's turned up in a bag, so put a bag. Wool and the Gang. So cool. Just put the camera down again. So we've got a big bag of gorgeousness. I'm actually really excited to open this. So hashtag made unique. So say share your knits. But let's have a feel inside. Oh wow, it's huge. Absolutely huge. So they sent me, well I actually chose this colour. I've specifically chosen this colour, and they've sent me 4 balls. So there we go. So let's put that down there. So I've chosen 4 balls of their crazy sexy wool. So here we go. This is their crazy sexy wool, and it is 100% Peruvian wool. It's actually made in Peru as well, so Wool and the Gang. And yeah, I mean, it just feels, oh my goodness, it feels so squishy. It's really chunky as well, you can see compared to the size of my hand, and I have quite big piano hands. It's quite a huge ball of wool. And this is so it's recommending to hand wash this and dry flat, or a 30-degree wash. So you get about 18 meters, 87 yards per ball. So it's recommending your needle size, which is going to be the same for your crochet hook size as well, as a 10mm. And we're going to be using, ironically, I didn't even realize, but we are actually going to be using a 10mm crochet hook. So you're going to need a pretty big chunky hook to go with this nice chunky yarn as well. Okay, and this looks like, well, it's like a chunky wool, but I've just noticed on the inside actually some text. Let's have a read of this. Our chunky, so that's going to be a bulky yarn. It actually looks slightly super chunky, super bulky, but it's recommended for 10mm, so that should help you if you're going to be using it for something else. Our chunky, crazy, sexy yarn comes from happy Peruvian sheep. The wool is natural, biodegradable, and easy care. Make something unique to you. Then hashtag share your knits online. So that's really nice. It's a really nice natural yarn as well, and I think that's reflected in how gorgeously soft it is. And I'm not just saying that, it is really, really soft. So, but I always do the smell test as well, so I'm actually going to smell this to see what it smells like. Yeah, no, it doesn't smell toxic or chemically at all. Actually, it doesn't really smell of anything. It just smells quite, just smells like sort of, okay, that one actually smells slightly different, so. But no, they don't really smell anything. So the one thing they don't do is they don't smell toxic or chemically at all, and that's obviously reflected in the fact that it's a natural yarn as well. So we need to get on with testing it, really, don't we? So let's get crocheting with this yarn. Okay, so let's take the label off, and then I'm just going to find the center piece. I'm going to take the yarn from the middle of the ball. So that was quite easy to find. And first thing I've noticed with this yarn is it's actually more like working with roving, and that makes it super, super soft. I don't know if you're used to or if you've tried spinning your own yarn, but you spin with roving, which is almost like what this is. Let me get my words out. This is almost like it's got no ply whatsoever, but it's pretty tough. So because obviously with roving it splits really easily, as you can see. That's quite tough, so that's not going to split on you any second. So that's pretty tough yarn, but it doesn't feel, even though it's a wool, I sometimes find wool and natural fibers quite scratchy, but I think that's more of a reflection on the quality. This is not scratchy at all. This doesn't feel remotely scratchy. It feels very, very smooth, if you can hear that. So it feels super soft and just really soft. It's really nice. I have to say I'm quite impressed with this yarn, because I wasn't expecting it to be so chunky. So if you love chunky yarns, this is perfect for you. And I'm a big fan of chunky yarns. I really, really like them, mainly because it makes the projects work up really, really quickly. And this is just absolutely perfect as a chunky yarn. This is just gorge. Anyway, I'm going to start off with a pattern. So with this chunky yarn, but it's recommended to use a 10mm crochet hook or knitting needles if you're knitting with it. So we're going to be using a 10mm crochet hook. It just happens that I designed this with a 10mm, so that obviously worked quite well. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a slip knot. It feels quite smooth on the hook as well, which is always a good thing. So hopefully you can hear how smooth that is. It's really nice and smooth to work with. So, and what we're going to do is we're going to work on the brim of the hat, and we're going to create the length, the height of the hat, of the brim. First, we're actually working from the bottom up on this beanie. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to chain 16, which might seem a lot, but it's because we're going to be folding that brim in half. So we're going to chain 16 to begin. So chain 1, 2, 3, 4, very smooth, 5, 6, 7, some more yarn, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Okay, so we've chained 16. Let's unravel that. And this is going to be the brim of the hat. So it's going to have the knitted effect. And what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be folding it in half like so. So you may want to chain less for a shorter brim, or even chain longer for a longer brim. It's entirely up to you. But I felt that 16 was quite a good length to begin with. But what we're actually going to do is we're going to do 1/2 double crochet in our 4th chain from hook. Now this pattern's in US terminology, 1/2 double crochet. If you prefer UK terminology, a 1/2 double crochet is a 1/2 treble. Okay, so to do that we're going to yarn over, And your fourth chain from hook, we don't count the loop on our hook. There's our first chain, second, third and fourth. So find that fourth chain, put your hook into there, bring the yarn through, and then yarn over, pull through all 3 loops to do a half double crochet. Pull through all 3, or a half treble if you prefer UK terminology. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do 1 half double crochet into each chain to the end. So we're going to yarn over, find our next chain, put our hook into there, bring the yarn through, yarn over, pull through all 3 to do another half double crochet, and do 1 half double crochet into each chain to the end. And you should end up with 13 proper half double crochets. And I say proper half double crochets because our stitch count is actually going to be 14, because we're going to count these 3 chains on the end as a half double crochet. So by the time you get to the end, you should have a 13 proper half double crochets, but a stitch count of 14, because we're going to count these 3 double crochets as a half double crochet, these 3 chains as a half double crochet. So into the next chain and do a half double crochet, yarn over, pull through all 3, yarn over to the next chain. Doesn't feel stringy at all, feels very strong. It's incredibly smooth, especially with my bamboo hook, and it's gorgeously chunky. I didn't realize it would be so chunky actually. So, and this is definitely a genuine review, because I virtually never do reviews. I'm really fussy on what I review. I get contacted a lot for people asking me to review things, either crochet hooks or certain yarns and things, and I pretty much always say no. Not so much with yarn, because I like trying new yarns, but crochet hooks, I'm really fussy with my crochet hooks. But this yarn, I've heard of the Wool and the Gang for a while actually. They used to be pretty much focused on knitting, but they're slowly getting into the crochet world of things. So it's about time, Wool and the Gang, it's about time. So, but I've been looking at some of the yarns. I didn't really know much about the different types of yarns, but I'd seen this Crazy Sexy Wool yarn and I was like, oh yeah, that's nice. So when they contacted me saying, hey, do you want to try our yarns? I was like, yeah, go on then. Who would say no? So there we go. There's 1 half double crochet in each chain along. So you should have a stitch count of 14, but that includes 13 proper half double crochets, and your 14th stitch is going to be counted these 3 chains on the end, this top one here. So once you've done that, whether you've made that longer or shorter is entirely up to you. So we're going to be folding it in half to make the brim. We're going to be working in this way round the brim. So rather than this way, we're not doing it like that, we are doing it like this. And to create the knitted effect, what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1, don't count that as a stitch, and turn your work. And I've done a video in more detail on creating the knit stitch, but hopefully I'll go slow enough here for you to follow. But normally we work into this stitch at the top. We go under these 2 bits of yarn here. But as you can see, there's like an extra loop on the side. This is what I call a little side stitch, and that's a stitch we're going to be working into on this row. And you can see the stitch, the side stitch, all the way across. Don't get it confused with this little one here, this one here. You need to find the proper side stitch, and the way to do that is you just find the stitch as normal, and then underneath, so there's the stitch as normal, underneath will be the side stitch there. So what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over, come back into that properly, there we go. We're going to yarn over, and instead of going into that stitch like that, we're going to find the side stitch underneath and put our hook underneath there. Then we're going to bring the yarn through that side stitch and do a half double crochet as normal. So we're going to yarn over, pull through all 3. Okay, then we're going to yarn over and we're going to do 1 half double crochet in each side stitch across, keeping a stitch count of 14. So if you're struggling to find which bit is the side stitch, find the normal stitch first there, and then just directly underneath will be that side stitch, like so. And then yarn over, pull through all three to do a half double crochet. And yarn over again, find the proper stitch first if it's easier, and directly underneath will be that side stitch. Okay. And we only do this on alternate rows, so the next row is going to be slightly different. And what that is doing is it's pushing these normal stitches to the front, which starts to create our knitted effect. So do 1 half double crochet in each side stitch across, keeping a stitch count of 14, although the last stitch you'll be working into the top chain, so you won't be working into a side stitch. Okay, so you just yarn over, find the proper stitch first, and then directly below that is that side stitch. It should get easier to see the side stitch as you go along. As long as you check your stitch count, then hopefully you'll be working into the right part. Don't confuse it with this stitch here. You need to make sure that it's more horizontal and directly below that proper stitch. Okay, that is the side stitch you want to work into. Okay, so 1 half double crochet or half treble, depending on your terminology, in each side stitch across. Okay, so how many have I got left? So the only thing I'm noticing with this yarn is you have to be careful, it does start to twist up a little bit, so you need to make sure to pull out a nice bit of yarn and keep a nice loose tension, otherwise it will start to curl up on itself a little bit. But it shouldn't be a problem to avoid if you just keep yourself enough yarn to work with. Okay, so that was my last side stitch, and then what we need to do is we need to find that third chain at the end. So remember we did these chains, we skipped these first 3 chains, we worked into that 4th chain from hook. Find that third top chain, so it's going to be, let's have a look, where are you? It's going to be at the top somewhere. We're going to yarn over, just do a normal half double crochet, and if you can't see the chain, and just work into the chain as best you can. Because it really doesn't matter, you just need to make sure you get that stitch count of 14. So there we go, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, nice stitch count of 14. And as you can see, because we worked into the side stitch, it's pushed these proper stitches to the front, and you can start to see the knitted effect happening. But what we do on the next round is we chain 1, again don't count that as a stitch, and turn. And this time, instead of working into the side stitch, we want to push these stitches to the front. So we're going to work in the back loop only. So we're going to yarn over, because we're just doing half double crochets. There's our proper stitch at the top, but instead of working under both loops, we're just going to work under this back loop only. So ignore the side stitch, ignore the front loop. So there's our proper stitch that we would work into normally if we're doing normal crochet, going under 2 loops of yarn. We're going to skip that first loop and just go under the back loop, like so. Put your hook into there, bring the yarn through, yarn over, pull through all 3. And what that does is it pushes the side stitch and the front loop to the front, creating another row of a knitted effect. So we're going to do that all the way across, 1 half double crochet in each back loop only. So find the stitch as normal, so there's our stitch as normal. And then we're going to skip that first loop, just go under the back loop. Bring the yarn through, do a half double crochet, pull through all 3. Okay, so we're going to do 1 half double crochet in each back loop across. just the back loop, keeping a stitch count of 14. So you can literally, there's the stitch, normal stitch, you just go down the middle, divide it in half and go onto that back loop only. And do 1/2 double crochet. And like I say, you can see here it's the yarn's twisting up a little bit, so you just need to keep it loose and that will stop that problem from happening. So make sure you've got a nice bit of yarn loose to work with so you can keep that nice and loose. So 1/2 double crochet in each back loop across. And as you can see, that leaves the front loop and the side loop free, creating, you see the knitting effect beginning to take shape. It's really nice and smooth to crochet with, which is nice. It doesn't catch on my hook or anything. Just working into that back loop only. And almost at the end, I've got 2 left. There should be no chains to work into this time, that was just for that first row. So you should have 1 stitch at the end, just a normal one, and work into the back loop just like all the others. Do a 1/2 double crochet, and there we've done our row. Just check your stitch count is 14, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and there we go. And you can see it's pushed the side stitch and this front loop to the front, creating a knitted effect, like so. And then this will be folded in half, which will create our brim. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to repeat those 2 rows, the working into the side stitch, alternating between working in the side stitch and working in the back loop. Always make sure to keep the stitches to the same side, and then this needs to fit around, you need to just repeat that for as long as basically the diameter of your head. So the circumference of your head, yes, circumference of your head, so that it fits around your head. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn. So for this next row, we need to make sure we're getting the stitches pushed to this side, so we're working into the side loops. So again, we yarn over, there's the stitch as normal, and then just below that is the side stitch. So we're going to work into that side stitch and do a 1/2 double crochet and do 1/2 double crochet in each side stitch across for this row. So there's our normal stitch with the back loop and the front loop, and there's our side stitch just underneath. Then the next row you would change back to working into the back loop. So you just repeat those 2 rows, working 1 row of side loops and 1 row of back loops until the length of your project fits around your head, basically. So you could make this for a child, you could make this for a teenager or an adult. It's completely customizable. You just literally repeat these 2 rows, alternating between side loops and back loops, until you've got the fit around the head. Okay, and it's going to fit this way. So imagine that's my head, it's going to fit around this way, so not that way, if that makes sense. So just repeat this pattern until it fits around your head, but you'll see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go away and repeat these 2 rows, side loops and back loops, till it fits around my head. It should be, not sure how many rows it'll be. Could be between 20 to 25 rows in total, we'll see. So once you've done a row of side loops, we swap to doing a row of back loops. And like I say, if you struggle to find the side loop, you're not sure which bit and you get confused, just find the normal stitch that you're used to, and directly below that bit of yarn there is going to be your side loop. Okay. You shouldn't have any chains to work into either on this row. You should just have normal stitches. Sometimes the one on the end can curl over a bit, so just make sure you find that side stitch. So you end on a nice normal side stitch as well. No chains. Check your stitch count is 14, and as you can see again, it's pushed those to the front like so. Then once you've done a side loop row, you chain one, don't count that as a stitch, and turn. Then we work into the back loop only. So we ignore the side stitch, ignore the front stitch, and just go down the middle of that normal stitch, work into that back loop. So you find the stitches normal, so normally you'd go under those two, but you want to skip that front one and just go onto the back loop. So we do 1/2 double crochet in each back loop across. Okay, just going down the middle, the back loop, and that pushes the front loop and the side loop to the front, creating the knit stitch. Okay, so I'm going to repeat these 2 rows, alternating between side loops and back loops until I've got a length that I'm happy with for the size of my head. Okay, which could be between 20 to 25 rows in total, depending on the size of your head and who you're making it for, really. And then I shall come back. There you go, see it's pushing the stitches to the front. Okay, so I've repeated those 2 rows and just alternating in between crocheting 1/2 double crochets into the side stitch, and then on the next row doing 1/2 double crochets into the back stitch. So alternating between those 2 rows, making sure that keeping the nice knit stitch pattern to this side, to one side only. So it looks like this on the back, like so. And I've done that in total for my size. So I'm sort of like an average lady size, really, of about 22 inches circumference, I think. Anyway, I've done 24 rows in total from the very beginning, 24 rows, okay? And it doesn't matter which row you end on, it doesn't matter whether you end on a side stitch row or a back stitch row, it really doesn't matter. When you've got the circumference length that you like, we need to join this together. So the wrong sides together, we're going to basically roll this up into a tube shape now. So we've got the knit stitch on the outside. Okay, so you want to roll it up, and we're going to join these 2 ends together. So our beginning chains, we're going to join with where we finished off. So let's put our hook back in there. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to put our hook into just the stitch as normal on this side. So it doesn't matter where you've ended on a side stitch row or a back stitch row. We're going to chain 1, do a chain 1 and turn, just like you have for all the other rows. We're going to put our hook into that first stitch as normal. So just go through under both loops as you normally would in crocheting, and then bring up the opposite side and find your first chain that you did. You just want to find one of these loops, and then these are your chains, your beginning chains. So find that first loop on the very end, making sure your yarn you're working with is the right way around. So let's move that over there, and I'm still working on the same ball of wool, so it's still going. So I've put that for the stitch. I'm going to put it through my first chain, and then what I'm going to do is just a slip stitch. So I'm going to yarn over and just bring the yarn through that first chain, and I'm going to bring it straight through that stitch and straight through the loop on my hook to do a slip stitch. Okay, I'm going to do it for the next one. So go into the stitch as normal under both loops, find the next chain over here, so it's gone under that one there, so we're going to go under this one here. Okay, bring the yarn through the first chain and the stitch and the loop on your hook. We're basically slip stitching along, joining as we go. So the next chain, so it's gone under that one, so I need to find this next one here. just do this all the way across, making sure to match up each side with each. You should have 14 stitches in total still. So you may want to count as you go to make sure it's all adding up. So next one, that's actually the slip knot, but I'm just going to go into there just to neaten it off. Really don't have to worry too much because you're just joining these two sides together. So you should end up with something like this. It's like a big tube of your work. Okay, then the next thing to do is we're going to turn this inside out. So I'm going to flip this inside out, and the reason for that is I need to get my yarn in the right direction so put it through there. Okay, so turn it inside out, and the reason for that is because we're going to fold this up into our brim afterwards. So we want to make sure we're working in the right direction for the rest of the hat. So once you've done that, now we're going to work onto the main pattern for the hat. Okay, and what you want to do now is we're going to work one single crochet neatly around this top edge. So you may want to, first of all, let's tie in our beginner's tail ends, get that out of the way, shall we? Let's do that. So I'm just going to tie this in. Get yourself a yarn needle. Okay, so I've threaded that onto my yarn needle. I have to do that off camera because camera just makes it harder being in the way. So once you've threaded that onto your yarn needle, I'm just going to tidy up this. Now this is the inside of your hat, remember, but I still want to make it quite neat. So just sew it through some of the stitching as neatly as you can. It's quite thick yarn to work with, so you should be able to just come through one bit and then cut that down. Like so. And there we go. So we've neatened off our beginner tail end, and here's the loop we were working with before. So I'm going to thread that on. The yarn I'm working with is out of the way over there. And what we need to do is we need to work one single crochet neatly around the edge. To do that, what we're going to do is we're just going to find anywhere to go into, really. So my yarn's coming out of here, so I'm just going to go into any bit of yarn and try and just neatly space your single crochets. So in UK terminology, this is a double crochet, but in US terminology, it's just a single crochet. So we just don't bother yarning over, pull through two. And again, we don't bother yarning over, and we're going to move over to somewhere else. Let's see, I want to evenly space these. And you want to work to units of 3 for this pattern. So however many single crochets you neatly crochet around the edge, you want it to be to a unit of 3. So that's basically anything in the 3 times table. So it could be, for example, 3, 6, 9, that's not going to be enough, but 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, so on and so forth. So work to units of 3. And I'm going to aim for about, I think I did about 36. So just make sure you count 1, 2, 3, and just evenly space them as best you can, really. You don't need to worry about the units of 3 until you get to the end, really. So I'm just going to work some stitches and then I'll count them. And just evenly space them, nice and neatly, into anything you can work your hook into, really. Try not to put them into too big a faraway gap. Try and keep it near the top. So you don't want to work all the way down here. You want to keep it fairly near the top. And just evenly space them. Find holes if you have to. So I'm going to do this all the way around. You don't have proper stitches to work into, you see, so you have to make stitches. So So I'm not working into anything in particular, I'm just creating holes to crochet into. And this is called working neatly around something. As long as you don't pull too tight or do too many in one area, then it should be a good size. It should be fine. Just keep to a nice neat level, so it's not pulling or stretching. Nice and relaxed to the same amount of rows you've done for your brim. Okay, so when you get back to the beginning, just before you finish, just bring up your hook slightly and count how many you've done. So we can work, because we need to work to units of 3, we'll just do lots of 3. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I've actually got dead on 1, 2, 3, but I've still got a gap left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 3 stitches in there. So we're still working to units of 3. So 1, and let's fit another one in there. 1, 2, 2, and one more right at the beginning. Let's put one in there. 3. So I've put 3 in there because I had units of 3, and then find your first single crochet that you did, put your hook into there and do a little slip stitch to join around. Okay, then just double check that you've still got, you have worked out, you've got units of 3. Okay, so it should work to the 3 times table. So I've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. So I've actually got 33 on my one, okay, and it's all nicely evenly spaced, so it's not distorting the nice length of our brim. Okay, so the great thing about this, it doesn't have to be perfect, which is a good thing about this. Now we're going to work on the pattern for the actual main part of the hat, and you'll see why we need to work to units of 3. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2. We're going to chain 2. We're going to count that as a double crochet, or in UK terminology a treble. So we're counting that as a double crochet, and then we're going to yarn over and we're going to do a double crochet in the same stitch we just slip stitched into. So go back into that same stitch you slip stitched into. We're just going to do 2 in there, 2 double crochets. Well, we're going to do 1 proper double crochet, and we're counting those 2 chains as a double crochet. Then what we're going to do is we're going to skip 2 stitches. So skip 1, skip 2, then in the third one we're going to do 3 double crochet. 3 double crochet. So 1, back into the same stitch, 2, and another one in the same stitch, 3. Okay, so we've got 3 double crochet all in that same stitch. Then we just repeat that. We skip 2, so skip 1, skip 2 stitches, and in the third stitch we do 3 double crochet again. So skip 1, skip 2, then in the third one we'll do 3 double crochet. We're going to repeat that all the way around. 1, 2, 3. And then we do the same thing again. We skip, try and keep this on camera, it's getting quite big. Skip 2, skip 1, skip 2, and then in the third one we do 3 double crochet. 1, the same stitch, 2, and 3. So just repeat this all the way back to the beginning, skipping 2, then doing 3 double crochet, skip 2, 3 double crochet. So skip 2, 3 double crochet, skip 2, 3 double crochet. Repeat this pattern back to the beginning, and I'll come and show you what to do at the end. So skip 2, then 3 double crochet. Okay, and when you get back to the beginning, you should have 2 stitches left. 1, 2. We're going to skip those 2, and then you need to find the first stitch you worked into, which is the one you slip stitched into. So you've got your 2 chains, which is going to be a double crochet. You've got 1 proper double crochet, and we're going to yarn over and we're going to do a double crochet. So find that stitch that you slip stitched into where that double crochet was worked into, that first one, and go back into there and do a double crochet. So we end up with 3 in there as well. Okay, so we've got our little set of 3 in there. Then find the second of the 2 chains, 1, 2, and we're going to slip stitch into there to join the round. So hook into there, bring the yarn through, straight for the loop on your hook. To join the round. So that's the end of that round, and all we did was skip 2, 3 double crochet, skip 2, 3 double crochet. But at the beginning we just do 2 chain, then 1 double crochet, and then we do the 3rd double crochet at the end, and those 2 double crochets are counting, those 2 chains are counting as a double crochet. Okay, so what we're going to do now is move on to the next round. For the next round we're going to chain 1 to begin, but don't count that as a stitch, we're just going to ignore that. It's just for a bit of leverage. Then going back into the same stitch you just slip stitched into, which is that top of 2 chain, we're going to do 1 single crochet. So 1 single crochet in US terminology. UK terminology, it's a double crochet. So go back into that stitch, that chain you just slip stitched into, bring the yarn through and do a single crochet. It's just a single crochet. Then we're going to chain 2. Chain 1 and 2, chain 2, then find the center of so find your next 3 double crochets and find the middle one, the one in the middle, and in that stitch from that middle one we're going to do a single crochet as well. Okay, so right in the center, those 3, and just repeat that all the way around. Chain 2, 1, 2, find the next set, find the middle double crochet and do a single crochet in there. Okay, then chain 2, 1 and 2, chain 2, find the next set, find the double crochet in the middle, and in that stitch at the top do a single crochet. So just repeat this all the way around, doing chain 2, 1 single crochet, chain 2, 1 single crochet, and doing the single crochet in that middle double crochet, and repeat that all the way back to the beginning. So chain 2, then 1 single crochet in that middle double crochet. I'm just going to stop there a sec because I've actually finally run out of yarn on my first ball. Actually, I've just done a single crochet. So when you get to an end of a yarn ball, what we're going to do is get a new one, obviously, get a tail end, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to loosely tie this in a double knot. And I say loosely because I want to undo it again at the end, so don't tie it too tightly, otherwise you'll end up with a knot in your work. So just gently just knot those 2 together, the 2 tail ends together, and then carry on with your work. So I'm going to chain 2, I get a chain 1 that side of the knot, then I'm going to chain my second one the other side, and then just tuck that out of the way and then carry on doing your round. So single crochet in the middle of those double crochet. And now I'm working with my new yarn, and what I'm going to do is at the end I'm going to come back to this, undo the knot, and then hide those tail ends in the project. Okay. Okay, so I'm back at the beginning and I've just worked my last single crochet into that last set of those 3 double crochet, and there's the beginning single crochet. So when you get to the end, you just chain 2, just like before, 1 and 2, chain 2, and then move over to your beginning set, find that first single crochet that you did, put your hook into there and do a slip stitch to join the round. Okay, so basically it should look, well, it should look a little something like this now. So you've got the inside of your brim here, the wrong side, and then you've got this pattern here, this, which I'm going to call a set. These 2 rows I'm going to call a set, a pattern set. And we want to repeat this pattern set. How many times do you want to repeat this? I want to repeat this, really want 5 sets. So we're going to repeat this another 4 times, but we're going to end on the double crochet round. We're not going to end on this round. So just do 3 more sets of these 2 rows plus an extra half a set of just these double crochets. So, but I shall do that and then I shall come back and show you exactly what to do. But we just go back to doing the same as this first round now. We do a chain 2, count that as a double crochet, yarn over, go back into the same stitch you just slip stitched into and do 1 double crochet, just the one at the beginning. Okay, so you just got those, what I'm calling those chains of double crochets. So we've got 2 double crochets in there. Just do the 2, then yarn over and move over to the next single crochet. So skip those 2 chains, find that single crochet, and in there do 3 double crochets so it matches underneath. So 1, all in the same single crochet, 2, and another one in that single crochet, 3. Okay, so there was a single crochet you worked into the center of those 3 double crochets, and those 3 double crochets have worked into that single crochet, so they line up. Okay, then we just find the next single crochet and do 3 double crochets. So we don't chain in between or anything, it's just the same as this first row. So in the next single crochet we do 3 more double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to repeat these 2 rows another 3 more times. Okay, so I'm going to do another round of the 3 double crochets, just 3 double crochets, and I'll do a round of the chain 2 single crochet. I'm going to do that 3 more times. Okay, and when you get back to the beginning, what we're going to do is we're going to skip these 2 chains and then find your 2 chains in your just that 1 double crochet, yarn over and into the same stitch that they're in, that first single crochet, you do 1 more double crochet. The reason I don't do 3 at the beginning is because it creates a nice neat edge doing that 3rd one at the end. So once you've done that, slip stitch into that 2nd chain of those 2, so effectively our middle double crochet, slip stitch into there to join the round. So it's exactly the same as the first round down here. And then we're going to do this chain 2 single crochet round. So all we did there was we did a chain 1, don't count as a stitch, go back into that top chain of those 2, the one you just slip stitched into, and do a single crochet. So single crochet in there. Then we chain 2, same as before, chain 2, and then we do 1 single crochet in the center of those 3 double crochets. And just repeat that round. So, and then we've done another set after that. This will be our 2nd set. Chain 2, 1 single crochet. We're going to do this set. After this set, we're going to do it twice more then. Okay, so we end up with 4 sets in total, and then we're just going to do 1 round of the double crochets. So I shall do that, and then I shall come back and show you. Chain 2. Find the center of that double crochet, set and do a single crochet. Okay, so I'm just coming up to the very last round, and don't forget to do your last double crochet for the first set at the end. so that third one at the end. So, and then slip stitch into the top of your 2 chain. And this is going to be the last round. So we're ending on a double crochet round. Let's bring that up. So what I've done, this is what it looks like if I lift up. So this is our brim. I've repeated that set. I've done it 4 times. So each set is the 2 rows. So 1 row of the double crochets, and then the next row is the 2 chain 1 single crochet, 2 chain 1 single crochet. That's counting as a set, and I've done that 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. But then I've done an extra round of the double crochets. Okay, but we're not ending on the 2 chain 1 single crochet. We need to end on the double crochets. Okay, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 sets, or 2, 4, 6, 8 rows, 8 rounds, and then an extra round of the double crochets. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to finish off our hat. So there's no decreasing in this hat. You just need to take a little length of our yarn. So leave yourself a little bit of length and then cut that. I've still got quite a big ball left of yarn. Bring this back round. Just trying to get to fit this into camera. And then we're just going to pull that through. So this is our loop. We're just going to pull that through until it comes through like so and creates a little knot. And then what we're going to do is we are just going to close this up basically. So the great thing about this pattern is you can do any style that you want, any pattern you like on this bit. You don't need to worry about any decreases, because what we're going to do is we're just going to drawstring this closed at the end. So we're going to take our tail end of our yarn, and then you need to find the next set of 3, and then the one in the middle, just instead of single crocheting into it, we're just going to thread our tail end through that stitch to the back, and then just pull that through and then just tighten that up. Then find the next set of 3, and coming from the back this time, come through that middle stitch, but from the back this time, and bring that through. I don't need this much yarn actually. And then just pull that. We're just going to repeat that all the way around. So I'm going to find the next set of 3, and then I'm going to go from the front this time. Oops, not the camera. Go for the front this time, through that middle stitch, and just pull that tight. And the next one we come from the back, find the middle stitch, and then just pull that tight. And you can see it drawing in at the top. Just repeat that all the way around. So find the next set of 3, the one in the middle, send it to the back, pull it over. Next set of 3, coming from the back for the middle stitch. Drawstring that closed. And the next set of 3, coming from the front, take that to the back, and just pull that tight. Then I've come through that one, isn't I? So this is the next one, next set of 3, coming from the back this time. Then turn it over. The next one, come from the front. Put it nice and tight. Then the next one. Hope you're managing to follow along, because this is quite hard to show on camera actually. Not used to doing big projects. All that tight, and then we're back at the beginning. So what we're going to do, if you can just pull it apart slightly, just find that beginning bit of yarn, and we're going to thread it through there. So that's the beginning, and then you can just put it nice and tight, and you can see the top has closed in nicely. And then we're just going to firm that into place, and that is the top of our hat nicely closed off. So I'm going to thread that to the inside, down for the middle, turn my hat inside out, pull that nice and tight, and then what we need to do is we need to secure this into place. So I'm going to thread this onto a yarn needle and just sew that into place. Okay, so just thread it that on. Make sure it's nice and tight, we're just going to secure this into place. So how am I going to do this? Let's go through some of these stitches. Nice and tight. Go through a little bit more stitching. There we go, that should do it. I'll do it one more time. It's quite thick yarn to sew with. It does go, it does work. Pull that nice and tight and then trim off. Leave a little bit if you want, trim off any excess. Like so, and then we're going to turn that inside back the other way round. And you can hide any of your other tail ends if you have any where you've joined the yarn. But what you then do at the end is fold over your brim. So you've got that nice knit stitch now on the outside, like so. And the last thing to do is to try it on. So I'm just going to put it on Mildred Gertrude to begin with, and I'll show you on me. Okay, so there it is on my little model there. So you can see the finished design. You've got the nice knit stitch, really chunky knit stitch, and it's almost slightly oversized beanie. If you like a more fitted beanie, you just do less sets, probably about 3 instead of 4.5, as long as you end on a double crochet row so you can drawstring it closed at the end. But if you can, you make it longer if you want to as well, if you want a really oversized beanie. But I suppose the last thing to do now is try it on me and then show you what it looks like on me. Okay, so I've turned the camera around and I'm going to try the house on me. So you can see my ugly mug for once. Let's see how this works. So let's get that tail end at the back. Let's see what it looks like. Really, really nice. Oh, it's so warm. Really, really chunky beanie. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed that tutorial. Hope you managed to follow along. And I hope you check out the Wool and the Gang yarn because it's really nice to work with. Like I said, you can get it on their website at woolandthegang.com. Yeah, woolandthegang.com. I'll put a link in the description below so you can go check it out. This particular one that I got, I ordered, this is the Crazy Sexy wool, and it's 100% Peruvian wool, and the colour that I chose was, I can't remember what colour I chose now. And the colour I chose, I just had to check for you, is Tweed Grey. So this colour that I actually used in the video is Tweed Grey, if you want to check them out. And yeah, but I hope you enjoyed my little review stroke Yarn Scrap Friday. Perhaps not really Yarn Scrap Friday, it's more of just a Yarn Friday. But I'll see you soon for some more crochet fun. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. I might actually keep this on. It's really cozy.